Are you curious about what it takes to run a $175 million team? Today, I sit down with Mandy Mills, who shares her philosophy behind doing just that. As always, I'm your host and referral partner out of San Francisco, Shawn. Mandy, we are live. I'm super excited to be chatting with you today. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Let's dive in. You have a 15-person team. You all do north of 170 million annually, give or take. Some years are more awesome than others, but that is definitely a lot to juggle. Let's jump in with what area of your team, your business, are you absolutely most proud of?
I'm most proud of being able to help people find their place in the world and to help people find the right home, to sell their home and realize a profit, but to make lasting relationships that, continue throughout our lives.
Nice. Did you want to add to that?
And I love having a team of people that I can help grow their individual business and create, entrepreneurs, small business owners. I think that real estate can change lives in so many different ways.
I'm on the same page with you. I mean, there's all the different aspects that touch our business that we can have a positive impact on. Within your team, what is your role?
So I am the CEO, if you will, of the team, and I work with a lot of listings. I work with some buyers, but I really want to think a lot about lead gen, marketing, obviously, but I think at the end of the day, marketing is lead generation. And I think everyone should work with our team because we care more about what happens to people. We're not transactional. We want to create lifelong relationships with, raving fans who refer us over and over again because we genuinely want to take care of people. I mean, when I'm getting houses ready, I always say to the sellers, I want to focus on ROI. I don't want to spend $1 to make $1. I want to spend $1 to make $2, $3, $4, $5, $10. And I think it's such an important component of this is your home, but it's an investment. It's the biggest financial decision most people will make. And we care that they're making the right one. We're just not trying to sell this house for the most money for us. It's really client focused.
Nice. And I mean, to do 175 million, that's a significant amount of relationships. And what are the other,
It is.
in being the CEO role, obviously you're leading and you're coaching. How do you instill that into your team?
I think that we start with the team being a family of sorts. We have, we're close. We're a real team. We actually work together. I mean, I think a lot of teams these days are marketing entities, let's throw our names together and get a good office space or, share an admin or whatever. And our team is genuinely a true team. We work together. We're incredibly collaborative. We want everybody to have quality of life. So if one person is going out of town or 3 people are going out of town, 3 other people will step in and completely oversee their business as if it was their own. And I think that is incredibly important these days. I think being a lone wolf agent is hard. We're in a fast-paced world, and I think being able to collaborate with like-minded people and care about their business as much as your own is an incredibly special and unique way to operate.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm on the same page and I have a team
How big is your team?
it's small. It's me and one other person. I'm in the process of potentially bringing on one other agent. But I operate in San Francisco, which is a 7 by 7 mile footprint.
Right.
It's tiny. It's
Right.
smaller than Disney's parking lot. It's not,
Right.
it's not a huge amount of
Right.
real estate, if you will. But I also agree. We kind of chat about this just prior to. We're not all built the same. We have strengths and attributes, and we equally have weaknesses. And when you're on a team, ideal team, then your weaknesses are being filled by someone else's strength. And it just compounds everybody. It makes everybody that much better and faster and stronger.
100%. And I'm the, Gary Keller says this, it's like one of his big messages, which I love, is like the one thing, what are you good at? And I think being a real estate agent oftentimes comes with a lot of ego. Being a good real estate agent comes with even more ego. And I think it's easy to get wrapped up in, well, nobody can do it as good as I can. Well, like, doing something 85% is okay sometimes if somebody else does it, because you can focus on the more important task. Like, anyone can hang a lockbox, right? But sometimes agents get in their own way. And I don't know if you guys work with lockboxes, but agents can get in their own way of like, nobody can do this as good as I can. And whether or not that's true, like, you can't do it all. Like, what are you good at? Do that thing and surround yourself with people that are good at other things.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, agents aside, just being a business owner and running a business, everything is riding on it happening.
Right.
And so there's that, you're just always paranoid and looking over your shoulder of like, oh my God, this can't go wrong, because it's my name that's attached to this,
right,
to this big thing. But it is true. In the early days when I hired my first assistant, of like, hey, I can't make it to meet this vendor to let them in. Can you go? And you're just like sweating, hoping that that they show up and they do this thing right.
Right.
But it's hard. Like, letting go is it's a skill unto itself that needs to be worked on.
It is a skill unto itself. And like delegating and not micromanaging, like surrounding yourself with people that can do things that you can't, and like letting them do those things well. I mean, like, I am like a big picture. I love the big idea, and logistics are not my strong suit.
Same.
So I surround myself with people that like can help manage me to do the best thing that I know how to do. Because I can walk into a house, I can price it, I can tell you exactly what to do that's going to get you the most money. But like scheduling all those people, then I don't do that well. And so like I have the people around me that are like, okay, we're going to do this thing and we're going to get everybody teed up and it's going to be really organized and scheduled to the max. And I'm like, I would fail at that, but I know the thing to do. So yeah, I think surrounding yourself with people that are good at things you're not good at is a great way to go.
It's funny, your analogy there. I mean, you, for me, totally hit the nail on the head. Like, I could walk into a property, I can tell you what it would expect to sell for, who the ideal buyer would be, how to market it, where the money shot's going to be.
Yeah.
What's the campaign that we're going to put behind? But I swear to God, if you give me the list of vendors to schedule, I'll look at my calendar and have anxiety.
Yes.
Of like,
yes.
I'm like, who do I call first? And what's the order? And it just totally stresses me out. But that big, like, walking in and be like, this goes here, that goes there, boom, and I'm out. I find pure joy in that. And that's where I have Kat, my operations manager, and she just like waves her little magic wand and like coordinates all these things and they appear on my calendar. I'm like, that's my happy space.
And even from like a marketing perspective, like I'm like, I have this idea, like I want to say something like this. And my husband is my marketing director and he's such an amazing writer. And like, I'm like, I just want to tell you like the idea. And like, he puts it in like poetry and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. And it would take me so long to craft something in writing of even the thing I just said, but he can sit down and make it look brilliant. And so like that is, and it's like, it's my idea come to life, but it would take me 4 times as long as if I could even get it done. Right. We probably have a little ADHD, but
big time. It's so bad.
Yeah.
And like the inside of my head is like trying to herd cats. I'm just like,
I mean, like you were thinking of 7 things all at once and
yeah. And they're all up in the air and I'm like, okay. And I'm already like organizing, like who do I need to go to for each of these pieces? Because I'm just going to drop the ball at these
Right.
thresholds. But I also think that comes with, there's a level of, I don't want to say maturity, but reflection of yourself, of figuring out, like, look, like the hard, honest truth, these are the things I'm really good at. And these are the things I want to be good at, but I'm never going to be good at. And I just,
Yes, I think that self-awareness does come with age sometimes, not all the time. I know a
sometimes.
few people that it's maybe gotten worse for, but I think that being self-aware of, yes, of like ad- recognizing what you're good at, but admitting what you're not good at is, I think, as important as the other.
I agree, and I do find, and I've talked about this before on the show, is there is a lot of pressure in our business that once you hit a certain number of production, if you're solo, it's like, oh, you build a team, but then you're a leader and a manager, and maybe that's not your DNA, and so, like, kind of like pulling the emergency brake up and being like, actually, I really love what I'm doing right now, and I don't want to mess with it. Is
Right. And like that's like hire a COO, like hire a COO to run your business, hire people, hire buyer's agents, hire staff, dole out leads. I mean, like I think because I think once you, I think I'm sure you've experienced this, is like once you get successful, eventually you will potentially have more leads than you can handle yourself if you want a quality of life, which, as I continue to say, I do. And I think that's where like it's so exciting to have a team is like
yeah.
because of my success, I've cultivated more business than I can handle myself. And I want to be able to distribute that and teach you how to do it for yourself. And like I think that that is incredibly fulfilling.
And I want to touch on something you shared with me just prior to us recording, because I thought it was really, it was such a fascinating way to look at it. But as you sit with people that you work with, you were saying that not everybody's built the same. And some of the agents you work with, you coach them up, and then some you just kind of coach them out and help them realize like maybe this isn't your jam. How do you have those conversations?
I mean, I think real estate is so glamorous from the outside and from the inside. It is, you know, you're potentially scrubbing a floor before a property goes on the market. But I think there can be so much stress from the buyer or the seller. And it like, you have to take that on to a certain extent, right? Like as an agent, as a good agent, you have to take on a certain amount of the stress. And I think there are tender-hearted people out there and it can be a lot for them, or there are people that don't care enough. And I think coaching people out is tricky. And I think it's a lot of question asking and like, how do you feel? Are you fulfilled? Like, where do you see yourself, you know, in the next year, in the next couple of years? Like, are you enjoying what you're doing? I mean, I think leading people to the path can be a lot easier than telling them that this is not the right
Oh, for
field,
sure.
right? Like you can generally get people there.
It's, I would say it's therapy, but it's not dissimilar of working with a buyer or seller. You can't take somebody from an extreme, like an extreme no, and then move them to an extreme yes, but you can gently
Right.
guide them with
You have to
questions
show them.
and show them the maybe, and then let them get
Show
comfortable
them
sitting in
maybe.
the maybe, and then they'll start to, maybe that's a possibility. Maybe I can look at it this way. But yeah, like I think if you just abruptly say, hey, you're not built for this, like obviously they're going to go shields up and it's not going to be
Who
fun.
would want to hear that? But I think
Yeah.
again, if you can lead them down the path, that is generally a good way to get people there. And you know, it's like I say all the time, it's like shoes, you know, like you can go into a store and try on a pair of shoes and they can feel incredibly comfortable. But until you walk around in them a couple of days, a week, couple of weeks, you don't know. You don't know. And I think like that's the same thing for employees. It's the same thing
Sure.
for agents. But it's the same thing for agents in their own recognition. Like sometimes you get to just try something to understand that maybe it's not the right fit.
Yeah, and it's
And again, I think a lot of people think real estate is glamorous. Like I get to watch HGTV and create my own schedule, which, you know, we talked about. And I think like, sure, if your own schedule is working all the time. And I think you get to graduate to like you know, and you have to be a scheduling wizard, right? Don't you find that?
I'm not. I'm terrible. But Kat, like, is amazing at scheduling all my stuff. I'm serious. Like, when I look at my schedule, I just start getting anxiety. And so
Yeah.
she knows if I send an email and like, hey, I CC'd Kat to help coordinate a time, she'll just jump immediately in and be like, hey, Shawn's
Right.
available these dates. And then it just
Well,
shows
and
up.
Alix called me and she's like, you have the link, you have like she's got me like on, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's,
Pull those comps, send those comps to that person. Have you pulled those comps? Have you pulled those comps?
oh my
Because
God.
when I sit down and do it, it doesn't take me long, but I have to sit down and do it.
Oh my gosh. I meet with Kat usually every day and even for a few minutes. And you have no idea how many times have you done the comps?
Have you done the comps?
You have no idea how many times I've heard that because it's like, she's like,
And
hey,
it takes us 10, 20 minutes at the most, right?
especially with the software and platform, like everything is so teed up these days, but it's just, yeah, I mean, it's all these other, like today, for example, my bank closed and they're merging my accounts and the accounts didn't go. And so it's like 5 phone calls later. So I'm like dealing with the business,
Right,
which
right.
not always fun.
Or the client, I mean, inevitably, I think we all have those clients that become a full-time job.
Yeah.
They just require more, and I always love it when the person like sees the first house and buys it. It's like, oh, this is so easy. And you're like, karma, the universe has given this to me because I've been dealing with a person that I actually have moved in with and now live with in their house with them because I'm there all the time.
Oh my gosh.
But again, I think when you care, you do the do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's all about perspective. And yeah, exactly. When you really care about their experience and what they're going through and you're empathetic and you understand, it's kind of like, it's part of it. And then a lot of it is just people are just nervous because a lot of these factors, we know this stuff, like it's a matter of routine for us, but it's brand new for them. And so a lot of their stuff that's coming up, it's all just based on uncertainty. That's it.
And stress and uncertainty can manifest itself in so many different ways for different people.
Oh, yeah.
And I think trying to field all of that and stay sane.
That's the tricky part. And stay sane doing healthy things. That's the trickiest part.
Stay sane doing healthy things.
Because we can
That is the
really
tricky part.
start doing other unhealthy stuff quickly.
Lots of walks. Gotta take vitamin D and walks. That's my...
Yeah. I mean, I think because you mentioned it earlier, having balance, having very intentional, these are my work hours and these are my rest hours. And during my rest, I'm actually resting. Mm-hmm. And I'm taking a walk with my family and I'm actually trying to focus on the walk and being present in that. I feel
Yes.
it's just incredibly important.
Yeah.
And we have a rule, and it started because of me. We were at dinner, and I kept looking at my phone, and Cielo, my partner, she was like not having it. This was years ago, and then she's like, "Can we make a rule? No phones at the table."
I love a no phones at the table rule. I
do
love
too.
it. I love it.
I actually it was hard at the beginning, especially when you're dealing with stuff. But how often are you in the middle of dinner and like the deal's actually going to implode at that moment? And if it is, then I'll just convey it and excuse myself. But it's great now because we have 2 boys. We're sitting at dinner and everybody's engaging with each other and not staring down.
My 9-year-old still gives me shit all the time. He'll be like, "Mommy, put your phone down." And like when you hear that from your 9-year-old, you're like, "What am I doing?" And like, but sometimes the wisdom out of the mouth of babes, like,
Sure.
yes, put your phone down.
I mean, it's not dissimilar if you're sitting at a listing presentation for a $5 million property. You're not going to be pulling your phone out.
Exactly. And it's like what we choose to prioritize.
Yeah.
Like, what do we choose to prioritize? Because we will 100% not look at our phone.
100%. That thing could be blowing up sideways and we would just be like, "Phoomp," zoned in on
Yep.
that
And
person.
so you can also go to lunch with somebody and just
Yeah.
focus on them, and it's like the amount of time. Sometimes I hate going to lunch with realtors because, you know,
The whole time.
the whole time. And I'm like, why are we even here? Why are we doing this? Like, so, yeah.
So I want to go back to an earlier part of the conversation that you shared with your team and them collaborating with each other, because that's not always the case within teams or brokerages, the actual collaboration. Is it coached in, or is it something that is incentivized in? Do you do any like profit sharing type things, or?
I think it is coached in. It is 100% coached in. But I have somebody, a financial advisor, definitely encouraging me to look into the profit sharing, which I'm I've dipped a toe into looking into. But I think it's coached in. I got married right after I got my license, like 6 months after. And I was on a team. I was the junior baby agent. And we went to Tulum, Mexico. And this is like, Tulum was dusty. Like this was 9 million years ago, 21 years ago. And so I had this deal that needed some hand holding, and I would have to walk into town and use a payphone in Mexico on my honeymoon to call and check in. And I was like, no one should ever have to do this. Like, I went to work 30 days after I had a baby. Like, no one should ever have to do that. Like, you should have the support and collaboration and care from the people around you to be able to work hard and then completely take the time off. And I think that is the ethos of the team that I wanted to start and want to currently have, is that we really look after each other's business as if it is our own, because the people on the team are going to do the same for you when you need it.
Yeah, it's the rule of reciprocity.
Yeah.
If you go first, leaders go first. If you go first and you take care of somebody and they're the right fit for the team, they'll take care of you when you need it also.
Yes.
If you do decide to go the route of some sort of profit sharing, reach out to David Schlichter, who actually lived in DC at one point. He's got a team out of Denver, and they're just absolutely crushing it. But he did it and structured it in a way where they're basically awarded for doing things in alignment with the team's value.
Okay.
It's a really fascinating approach, and it's obviously working really well for him.
I'd love to talk to him.
Yeah, super nice guy. He was actually on the podcast not that long ago. Just a really, really fascinating model, and it's one I've been working on implementing into our team structure.
I love that. Yeah, I've been encouraged by a person that I know and respect, and he's sort of loosely sketched out some ideas, but I'd love to hear more. And I'm sure there's many different ways to structure it.
And that's the beauty of teams in this business. You can slice the pie any which way you want, and there's no wrong answers. And that's what I think is cool. Right. It's what fits you, fits your team's DNA, and what's actually going to essentially help everybody grow and evolve. Let's roll to, I kind of want to pick your brain a little bit about as being a team or a team leader. Part of it is generating and aggregating leads and marketing. What are some of the unique things you're doing in 2024 as we face always new challenges?
Yeah. So we were incredibly event heavy pre-COVID, and it was so successful. And then COVID just shut it down. And I am trying to resurrect some things. And I think it's like we've all sort of like in different time frames and ways have shaken off the, barriers of COVID, for lack of a better phrase. But I think in-person events have obviously we're seeing each other in person and have for years, but like we haven't really had like as many significant gatherings. So I think that is what my fall plan is. I started a house and garden tour in my neighborhood,
Oh,
which
cool.
hasn't happened since COVID. And I had some people reach out and say, oh, we'd love to get that going. It's a fundraiser for the local school. And so that's always been great. I mean, I think block parties are one of the best, lowest lift events you can do. And it's, throughout Compass, we share, and I've had people take my idea and then put it on steroids. All of a sudden they have like a donkey or but like I'm like, you can have a moon bounce, a face painter, you can block off a street and have like some popcorn or cotton candy and like some music. And again, it's a low financial lift. Invite the neighborhood. Everything's free, but we'll take donations and we'll match the donations and give it all to the PTO of the local elementary school. Like, kind of a no-brainer. Like, it's community building, it's giving back, and it's, meeting the community, the people in the community.
I love that. And it's funny, we both have a mutual friend, Francie, and I asked her a similar question. And hers, they do like something like 18 events a year. And
she is a wizard. She does movies, which I think is a great idea.
Yeah.
She sort of gloms onto like the local farmers market, but like brings, her own flair to that. So yes, she's a powerhouse. Like she's, I think it's like, trying to restart something that stopped can be challenging, and you just got to do it. And it works.
It's true. Pre-COVID, we did an event. It was a garden party. We had a live band. Super cool. The amazing part was the lead singer, the drummer, the photographer. I don't even know how many guests all wound up buying properties with me.
I mean,
just amazing.
That is such a success story. And I will say, like, when we do like a block party or an event, we normally get at least one client, which, of course pays for it tenfold, but it's also allows you to continue to do those kinds of things. And exactly. I love having the philanthropic piece of it, because I think, the community takes care of you. You should take care of the community back.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. And I really like that you do the matching for donations. That's a really cool, that's a nice way to approach it, rather than it just being about you. And it's funny, our team internally, the ethos is lead with relationship, and it's relationship within the community, relationship within the team, relationship with other agents outside of our team. And it's like, if you just really focus on that, all these other amazing good things just kind of come back to you. You don't have to You don't have to chase as hard. In the same, it's funny, our businesses are very parallel, though on opposite sides, where I've gotten away because of COVID. We got away from events, and we're trying to put them back in, and they're hard. It's hard. It's hard to get back into the previous cycle of where we once were.
It's like inertia, like, stays in motion or stays in place.
It's totally true. Yeah, unfortunately we kind of stalled on it, and it's really not hard. It's just like, it's a project, and you just have to, as we talked about, you just have to get it on the calendar, rally the right people, and chip away and do it.
And it can be as simple. We have gone to coaches before, and one of the big things is R&D, rip off and duplicate, right?
100%.
Like, you take a good idea and you just steal it. We were at a bar, and there was this other agent team, and they were like, oh my gosh, we just started doing these things where we just like invite all our clients. Like, we're going to be at this bar, come. And like, you can buy a round of drinks or not, but like, so like, it's literally an email. And like, if 10 people show up, great. If 5 people show up, great. If 100, but it's like, just it's a reach out. It's an easy reach out. And like, if people can show up, they will. And a group of my team members did that, and they were like, it was such a great success. And it's like, there's no caterer, there's no reserving event space. You're like, I am going to be here at this time, come by for a cocktail.
And that's it. And even if you kind of want to amplify it a little bit, is go back through your CRM and find out which of your past clients own bars.
Yes.
And then you just be like, hey, do you mind if we crash your bar on Thursday? I'm going to invite 20, 30 people. Of course they're going to say
smart.
yes. And then it's
Yes.
you're feeding back into
You're
the
supporting
whole,
a local business.
Exactly.
You're supporting a client. Yeah.
and it's easy forward momentum.
Smart.
A friend of mine actually is the one who gave me that idea. One of his clients owns a small boutique gallery in the city. And so he went out, actually he went to another client who owns a winery, and they make, it's not champagne, but what is it called? Bubbly, sparkling wine.
Yeah.
And that person donated a couple cases, and then they went out and bought caviar. So their expense was caviar.
That's pretty genius.
And these people show up, and then what wound up happening is the wine supplier wound up getting a few orders for cases, and then the gallery sold a few pieces, and it's super low impact.
Smart.
And
smart.
everybody walks away happy and having a good time. So
Yeah.
I think the ideas aren't the hard part. It's just putting the pen to paper.
Execution.
Always is.
Both of us need the executor.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm happy to like volley ideas any day of the week. But then when it comes
Me too. Because I love the gallery wine, bring the caviar. That might be my favorite thing ever.
And it's super easy. And again, if you go back to your clients, of course they're going to be like, oh, that's amazing. I would love for you to help promote this.
Yeah. That's super smart.
Mandy, this has been really fun. Unfortunately we're at time, but
this has been so fun.
Yeah.
I'm so thrilled to do this, and I love meeting and chatting with you.
You
I feel
as
like I have
well.
a new friend.
It's funny. I've heard your name a bunch, and then Francie was like, "Oh my God, you guys have to absolutely meet." So thanks for doing this. I really genuinely appreciate it.
I really appreciate you inviting me, and I had a lot of fun, and I feel like I learned something. So
nice.
Thank you.
Well, we'll have to sync up at the next retreat.
Definitely.